What's up, Neil?
Oh, hey, Cal. Sorry, I didn't even know you were talking to me.
Yeah, I know.
I thought my name was Neil, but then I was like, oh, man.
It's been a long one.
Yeah, sorry. Man, I was over there in the days.
Here we are. Season 2, episode 10 already. Isn't that insane?
We did it.
Who would have thought we'd make it 10 episodes in season 1, right? So, F you, all you haters.
Yeah.
We have like tens of followers now. No, I'm just kidding. But no, season 2, episode 10, and we have Eric Seratti here with us.
Glad to be here, guys.
I mean, I love that you're here. So, thanks for coming out.
Oh, absolutely.
And I just started with the song from Wilco, Jesus, etc. And I was telling you about the beer or whatever. And the reason I start with that, and we're going to get into a lot more, but is you've been actually a pretty strong supporter of ours from the point that you learned of us, I would say.
Right.
You know, it's a little while ago. And, you know, our Two Dudes and Live Tunes Facebook group.
Right.
You know, and you're like, oh my God, I'm listening to the music I never would have thought I'd listen to in my life, you know? And that kind of made me feel good, you know, because that was the whole point of this, right, Neil?
Yep.
Is we love going to music or to concerts together, and I mean, we've always gone with so many different people and so many shows, and that's the whole point of it. Mm-hmm. Is, you know, I'm going to introduce you to music,
right?
And I think today you're going to probably introduce us and school us on a lot of stuff that has been out of our wheelhouse per se, for lack of better terms there.
Well, that's one of the greatest things about music is it really brings people of all different backgrounds together that they can solidify in.
Absolutely.
And it's like there's a lot of stuff you guys probably like that I don't have any idea that even exists, and then vice versa. So
yeah.
It's really a collaborative thing, music.
100%. Everyone that you connect through music, and then you go to a live show. And I mean, especially in today's day and age, right? The fact that you can have like tens of thousands of people in the same place for a common thing, and everyone just gets along,
right?
You know, and even some of the shows you're going to tell us about, where everyone's kind of beating the crap out of each other, but believe it or not, they're having a blast, and everyone's actually getting along while they're doing it. You know, so that is, you know, we always say, what is it about music? And I mean, it's kind of an old question now for the show because you get a lot of the same answers, you know. But you know what? I'm going to ask you because, I mean, what is it? What, you know, for live music and all that, what keeps you going? What gets you going to maybe a certain band, you know, a few dozen times, you know?
I think it goes, like, super far back in history, like, almost to, like, where we, you know, changed from a lizard into a human, if that's what you believe. But all the way to, like, cavemen. They had rituals and music that they used in their culture, and it still resonates today. It brings people together. I mean, it could be a guitar riff, it could be a, you know, drum fill, it could be a keyboard, it could be a violin, it could be really anything. But once you get drawn into that, you're like, wow, not only is this shit awesome, but there's a bunch of people that like it too, so we're automatically going to be a family just based off of that. And I think that's what draws us to music, is not only how it makes us feel inside, but to know that there's other people out there that feel that same way.
Yeah, it can generate, or, you know, to everybody.
Yep.
Love that.
Yeah, and I mean, just thinking back, so our connection is we actually graduated high school.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
93 Chargers.
That's right.
Go Chargers.
Yeah, true. But, God, damn, that's 31 years ago, bro.
That doesn't seem that long.
I know, it's crazy. It is.
Way to go, guys. You did it.
Yeah, we did. You know, we did it. So do you remember, actually, so
now,
do you remember that I spoke during commencement? So
I don't remember what the fuck you said, but I remember you.
I actually threw in a Beastie Boy lyric.
Oh, did you?
From Pass the Mic.
Okay.
Be true to yourself and you'll never fall. And I think Mike D is the one that sings it, if I remember correctly.
That's so...
And I put it in there, and I believe I said a wise man once said,
right,
"Be true to yourself and you'll never fall."
Mike D.
Which,
He's pretty
R.I.P. to MCA. He was actually my favorite. Were you a Beastie Boys fan back in the day? Or
I was.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big rap fan.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get it. I mean,
Right. No, and that's, again, the beauty of it. You know, I always point back because a lot of, pretty much everyone you see here I've seen live. Actually, I didn't see Run DMC. But Tyler, the Creator. So I took my two youngest to LCA.
Okay.
And at first, I was just going to drive them. Well, my daughter was driving, and I drove the other car, so we were following. And I'm like, it's Detroit. It's a long drive from here. And I was just going to kind of get them in there and then hang out. But then I'm like, just get a ticket. So I just got a solo ticket. And I liked old school rap.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I mean, I mention it quite a bit now, like Eric B. Rakim, KRS-One, Boogie Down Productions, NWA, you know, EPMD, whatever, blah, blah, blah. These guys up on here. And Tyler, the Creator, is definitely different. But you know what? He had two different stages going, and he was literally all by himself and just had that whole place just going. And I was like, holy shit, that was it was a great show. You know? I didn't really get it.
Right.
You know, but I know my kids loved it, and actually he's going to be a headliner at Lollapalooza this year, so I'm going to check it out again. And but that is, you don't have to love it.
Right.
But you said it earlier. What do? You appreciate it. You know, even if it is a dude just rapping, because to be on that stage by yourself and commanding it like that, that's a whole different talent too.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, so
Eric, you're not a rap fan at all? Do you like Eminem?
you can say no even though he's local. It's okay.
Yeah, we can edit this bitch.
That's actually a harder question for me to answer because personally I've met the guy and I think he's a fucking asshat. But musically, he put white people on the map as far as rap goes.
As far as rap goes. Okay.
I mean, he's teamed up with the largest producer in the rap game. And,
right. And not only that, he took his mixtape, went to LA, and like basically searched him out and said, "Hey, you got to give me a shot." And it worked.
Yep.
You know, and no matter what, absolutely, you don't have to like people.
Right.
And I've said this, and a lot of people struggle with the concept. Remove the art from the person.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You know, you're not going to always agree with everyone. And sometimes you're going to think, oh my God, this is my favorite person in the world. And you actually do meet them. And you might have a different view of it. And that's okay too.
Yep.
But you appreciate the art. And it's okay to listen to it whether or not everyone likes that person or not.
Correct.
You know, you can still listen to Kanye. I don't give a fuck. I still love Gold Digger.
What about P. Diddy's in the news right now? Hey, you can still listen to P. Diddy and like it. Like Mike Jackson, too. Mike Jackson.
Well, yeah,
come on.
We're not going to dig too deep into that.
I know we're not, but
I got to add something to the
Kanye
comment because he might be a great musician. I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard any of his stuff. But, man, that guy's got such a overinflated fucking ego.
100%.
I mean, the dude says the greatest disappointment in his life is he'll never get to see himself perform live. I mean, what the fuck? Who says dumb shit like that?
Well,
I would say he definitely has.
That's somebody that loves himself.
He has some other issues going on for sure. But
and he also said that he's the greatest rock star on the planet. And then Corey Taylor came out with a video and said, the fact that you have to say that,
you know you're not.
Right.
So speaking of Corey Taylor, you are I would say a huge Slipknot fan, right?
Yep.
So tell us the background there, because I know you've seen them like a shit ton of times.
Yeah, I've seen Slipknot 33 times in 5 different countries.
Okay, so first of all, I want to know what countries right now.
United States.
1.
England.
2.
Germany.
3.
Spain.
4.
Sweden.
5.
There you go. Sweet. So festivals?
Yep, a lot of festivals. And I was actually at the show in Germany where Slipknot was supposed to go on stage after Linkin Park. And the story was that Slipknot's bus broke down and they couldn't make it. So the promoter went to Linkin Park and said, hey, do you guys mind playing a second set? And Chester Bennington said, "We'll play a second set, but you got to go out there and tell all these crazy fucking Slipknot fans that these bastards ain't showing up tonight, or we ain't setting foot on that stage. That'd be a bloodbath." Mm-hmm. And that's just how that following with that band goes. I mean, when I was in London seeing Slipknot, 15 minutes into the show, they had to shut everything down because they ran out of stretchers.
They ran out of stretchers.
So when you saw, like, it was England, Germany, Spain, Sweden, was that like all within like a small cluster, or was that over time, or?
That was in a 1-year period.
Okay, nice.
They went on tour. I always see them every year at Knotfest, and I saw them for the first time in '99 when Ozzy promoted them at Ozfest.
Okay.
May I interject real quick?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Knotfest?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. I know you mentioned it.
And
before,
what year?
99,
you said Knotfest?
99 was Ozfest where
Ozfest.
they first debuted, and then about 3 or 4 years later they started doing their own thing in Iowa. Called Knotfest, and it was basically Slipknot takes over the state fairgrounds for 3 days, and they bring in a bunch of bands. There's like 50, 60 bands. They have 3 stages. Carnival. It's a great
So that's
time.
what you were texting about.
Right.
Okay.
But they do have Knotfests all over. They have them in different
really?
countries. Every city has a small Knot festival every year, but.
So wherever they hit,
Iowa is the king. You will see shit in Iowa. Yeah, yeah, they're from Iowa.
What area do you know?
I don't know off.
I asked because, well, in our old soccer days, you always used, when you played the Olympic Development Program, you either went to Bowling Green for like a week of training and games,
or you went to
Grinnell, Iowa, which is Iowa State. So I was just wondering, because who knows? I might have been starting out in college or somewhere at one of those, and this is where, like I said, you're going to school me a lot because I have never really been into the big metal scene.
Okay.
I don't dislike it.
Right.
I know Korn was one that we mentioned. We'll dig in a little bit. I've always, like I said, I've always understood it, but I've mentioned to Neil on a different episode where, to me, music, you had like the grunge,
right,
and everything, and that kind of went, and then there was like little things through like the mid 90s, but then towards the end of the 90s, you had where it kind of new metal.
Right, the new metal genre.
Like, I would say Rage almost like led into that, in my mind anyway. Like Rage was one of the where it was different, and then you had other bands that all of a sudden had exposure because this sound. Yep. And then, that's where I remember, the Korn, the Linkin Park.
Yeah, but a whole new genre of metal.
But I kind of went the other way. That's where more like the jam band, hippies, like Ben Harper, Wilco, stuff like that.
Right.
Where I still, my exposure to it, what you usually hear on the radio, you used to maybe see on like MTV when they actually played shit or, stuff like that. So, besides Slipknot, who else? Like, what are the other ones that, you've always resonated with you? And I want to dig a little more into Slipknot. What does that even experience look like? You know what I mean? Like,
well, the other bands that I really enjoy a lot would be Pantera.
Okay.
Slayer.
Oh, nice.
Slayer.
Disturbed.
Pantera, of course.
Yep.
Joe Nora, our guest a couple episodes ago. What an amazing band.
Right.
You can't.
Well, and then Shaq, our other guest, he went to incarceration in Ohio and saw Pantera last year. They're a good one, right?
Yep.
So Slayer. And then...
Disturbed.
So are we getting into your Forever 5 here?
Yeah.
All right. So,
oh my Lord.
So do you...
Oh, we just
did it. Hey, we did it. We
just cracked it.
We're very loosey-goosey with the format, so, sometimes we'll jump out
we didn't
order.
even say anything. Sorry, Eric. But
no, that's fine, because it was the same answer for the 2 different questions, really.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I figured, we're kind of getting in there. So, the Forever 5, so, you're pretty familiar with it. You said you could, lay them on us.
Slipknot number 1.
Okay. And you have them in order.
Yep.
Okay.
And then Slayer.
Nice.
And then Korn. Pantera. And Disturbed.
Nice. So you are very focused in your.
Yeah.
This is
That was one of the greatest benefits of growing up, where I didn't have any outside musical influences. My parents didn't listen to music.
Really?
I'm an only child.
Okay.
I mean, my friends were into some weird stuff that I was like, what are you listening to?
That's amazing.
So I kind of was able to
You formed your entire
find what I liked, and it was hard rock, heavy metal, and I just kind of weaved through that whole genre. And
Did you ever get into any punk? Like Sex Pistols?
Yeah, I went through a skating,
Misfits,
skateboarding period, and I listened to like Dead Kennedys. And
there we go. Okay, cool.
So we did talk. So did you see Beastie Boys live when they were around or no?
I did not.
No. Okay.
But I was at the show with Korn and Slipknot when they did Sabotage live on stage as a tribute to the Beastie Boys, and it's awesome. If you guys get a chance, check out that video.
Definitely.
Is that on YouTube?
Yeah.
What is
definitely
it?
gotta get that on the playlist.
Beastie Boys, or excuse me, Slayer and
Slipknot and Korn.
Slipknot and Korn.
And just search Slipknot, Korn, Sabotage, and it'll come right up.
I like that Sabotage song.
I like that Sabotage
song. The Beastie Boys, I bet you they do it way better.
Right, because it's even faster than the Beastie Boys did it. So,
it's more pure.
That's awesome.
Right on. Love it.
And it was fun growing up because nobody else that I knew was listening to the same type of music I was. So it was like.
I mean, it was brand new.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, so we graduated in '93. You figure that was probably, really right coming out of that.
Yep.
I mean, for the most part.
Because when we started high school, it was like Poison, Whitesnake.
Yeah.
Those hair bands were what was really popular. And then around 11th grade, I got into Pantera, and I was like, holy shit, this is so heavy.
Right.
And then I got into Slipknot in '99. I was like, holy shit, this is so fucking aggressive. I feel like my face just got melted off.
So, when was the last time you saw Slipknot then? Like
last year.
Last year. So, I mean, it's still crazy pits. I mean,
I don't go in the pit no more.
I was going to say, you're not getting.
I'm 50 now. I'm not trying to break a hip or something.
You're not getting in there.
No.
Okay. I was going to say, that'd be insane. I couldn't even imagine that.
But they still jam, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. They kill it.
So how many original members of the band?
Original members were 9, but they have 6 left that are original.
Oh, wow. So it's still...
They went through a couple of drummers. They started out with Joey Jordison, who passed away. And then Jay Weinberg took over. And then they had some musical differences. Jay wanted to go in one way.
That's what you were talking about. Something going on with the current drummer.
And nobody knows who the new drummer is yet. But there's... Through the Slipknot community, there's a whole bunch of theories, which I don't pay attention to until it's
signed and sealed, right?
Yep.
That was like I was always, leading up to the Porno for Pyro show that we just went to the farewell tour, and
how was that?
Oh my God, it was awesome,
amazing.
Nice.
It was really good.
Never seen Porno for Pyros. I've seen Jane's Addiction a couple times, like 2000 and then 22. So good spread for Jane's Addiction, but. It was at the Fillmore in Detroit.
Okay.
So I always loved State Theater.
Right.
Right. That's what I always remember, back in the day. But it was good. I mean, Perry's voice, it's not the same, but it was solid. Mm-hmm. And the music behind it, I mean, seeing Mike Watt with him. And that was the thing, because no one knew who was going to play bass.
Oh.
At first, because I guess, to be honest, I don't know a lot about who's in the band and all that. But whoever was doing it for the last whatever, he's like, I don't want to do the tour. So then they got Mike Watt, who I guess had played with Porno for Pyros and a lot of other bands.
He's
been around forever.
Basis,
but, man, that dude just jams on that bass. And the part that amazed me was there was a song, I don't even remember which one, but there was a part that I always thought was the guitar. Mm-hmm. But no, it was actually the bass. Mm-hmm. And seeing Watt do that with that was like mind-blowing to me.
The really good bassists of the rock world can make you think they're playing a different instrument. You think it's guitar and it's not.
Isn't that rad?
It is.
Speaking of bass players,
That's why we love music, you know?
what are your thoughts on Primus?
Love them.
Love them?
Love. I mean,
So Primus sucks?
So,
no, this is funny. Everyone always says, like, oh, Primus sucks, but they really mean they love them. It took me a while to catch on to them. I swear.
Some of the lyrics are goofy as fuck.
Oh, I love it. That reminds me of the Beastie Boys.
Right?
They always had those goofy ass
But those
lyrics
bass lines are killer.
Oh.
Absolutely killer.
And I love his voice. I don't care what anyone says. He's got that unique voice. You know it's when Les Claypool sings.
Mm-hmm.
You know. I can't wait to see Sasanta. That's going to be amazing.
May 2nd?
May 2nd, Pine Knob.
Yeah, we'll be there, bitches.
Like I said, all
Two
three
dudes will be there.
bands are going to be on the stage at once. Primus, Pussifer, and Perfect Circle.
Oh, wow.
And they're just going to bounce back and forth, and they're apparently singing each other's songs. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. And Maynard's just a crazy bastard.
Yeah, but he got that voice. It's unmistakable.
I know. And yeah, he's another. You know, there's a lot of those voices.
Like sometimes I'll be listening to him, like in a Perfect Circle, and be like, "Is this a Tool song?"
Mm-hmm. I remember hearing Perfect Circle back when he first started.
And you're perplexed, or
right. Oh, wait, that's Maynard, but what's going on here? You know what blew my mind is because again, like Perfect Circle, I never followed them. I didn't really pay attention. All I know is I like some songs.
Mm-hmm.
It blew my mind that James Iha was in Perfect Circle.
Right.
The Smashing Pumpkins guitarist. So when he was out of Smashing Pumpkins, he was in Perfect Circle for a while.
Right.
And I found, like, I guess it's almost like a revolving kind of band, you know?
Right.
A pool of musicians, whoever can show up when they do it, you know, that's who this one is or whatever, you know?
I'm on a bowling team that does the same thing. Me, Paul, and Shooter. We're the fifth. We're the fourth roller. So yeah, kind of like that.
What kind of average are you pulling, Neil?
Quick 170.
That's solid. That's solid.
I was 162 for a long time, but I've been.
Well, you know what? to that 170 average. What do we got here?
Oh yeah, let's go.
What is this that you brought us?
It's blackened whiskey.
Okay.
Nice.
It's sourced out to the guy's name on the bottle. I don't remember his name, but it's made for Metallica.
Oh, no shit.
Yep. And I figured with
awesome.
Keeping with the genre of the show with music, I bring a bottle of black and then I bring
obviously appreciate it.
And then the moonshine, that's roots in metal.
So absolutely.
Metal actually was born from bluegrass.
Really? Mm-hmm. All right, I want to hear more about this. So wait, before we do that though, so bluegrass. So what do you think of Billy Strings?
Love.
Do you really?
Oh
yep.
Shit.
That's awesome.
Too good.
So Neil's sister and brother-in-law, they went and saw the show at Pine Knob, like last summer or whatever. It was kind of like his coming home.
Yeah.
And like I never even really knew him.
Right.
And then they're like, "Yeah, he sold out Pine Knob." Like,
yeah, Cal, you're like, I don't really know who
so
this
then you
guy
listen,
is.
like, oh my god, it's amazing.
Yeah.
That's all he is.
How can one person have so much talent? I mean,
I
holy
know.
crap.
And
Too much talent. I mean,
I have a hard enough time plugging a fucking guitar in, let alone playing it.
you know, and the sounds that come out of an acoustic guitar.
Right.
That's the amazing thing to me, you know. And the one I always, not bluegrass, but the one I always kind of the same thing with is Michael Glabicki from Rusted Root. I mean, the sounds he would make on that acoustic, and like how fast they must be going. But Billy Strings is a whole different level, dude. And I've never seen him, but it's something I definitely would love. And I know he was doing part of the tour with Willie Nelson and Bob Dylan, but but he's not playing the Pine Knob show. So
Billy Strings.
Yeah, Billy Strings. He's not doing the. So Blackened, it's called, and I'm just going to take a quick pull, Neil.
Yeah, let's do a pull.
Thanks, bro. It's good seeing you again, having you on. Actually, that's really fucking good.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Yeah.
It smells really good.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Take a pull. Have you had it before? Yeah. Yeah, that's some good shit, dude. So, Uncle John.
Harsh for a second.
Thank-
I'll get my.
Thanks for the
Harsh for a
Seagrams, Uncle John, but we're going to put that right behind the black.
We're going to do that more.
we got a new guy in town. So I think, maybe we might hit that up before the end of the show there, but appreciate that one as well.
And what's great about that is after you drink the liquor, you can eat the cherries and get even more fucked up.
Okay, so I told you about Lollapalooza 92, which is arguably the best lineup. So I don't... 90... Well, okay. I told this story before. We had my parents' minivan, which me and my brother took to 3 concerts. The first one, and fuck it, we got time, right? So Lou Reed, he's one of my Forever Five. So I don't know if you know mine.
No, I don't know.
Okay, so everyone's gonna hear it like every episode from here on out.
No,
I'll run through them.
I want to hear it again. I'm gonna write it
So
down.
Smashing Pumpkins for sure.
Okay.
Like for me, that is, if you had to put a number one, it's them.
Okay.
I can't argue it. I remember.
It's a solid number one, brother.
So yeah, and so you might remember. Do you remember Lauren Jackson from high school? So he had a band, and it was called Spectacle.
Okay.
And he played guitar. And I think he played guitar. I don't think he sang. But I had, like, chemistry with him. And it was the lady teacher. I forget her name. Doesn't matter at this point. But you remember Mike Geiger?
Oh, yeah.
We used to cruise around in his Mustang with the top down. And he had the big kicker and the big speaker. But we would be bumping Rhinoceros by Smashing Pumpkins.
Good Lord.
You know what I mean? So we're cruising around with that, and like that was
awesome.
Immediately, that was like the first song that hooked me. That was my killer tune for them. And we were sitting, and I was talking about it with Lauren Jackson, because I mean, I would talk to everyone. You know, in my mind, just people are people. They're going to do whatever they want. I don't give a shit.
Right.
You know, we're going to, whatever. And we're talking, and I'm talking about that song. He's like, oh, I'm going to see them in concert. Like somewhere downtown, like a little, or who knows? It could even be like the fucking Blind Pig, but I think it was in Detroit. But a little show.
Right.
Gish had just come out or whatever, and he's like, "You want to go?" I'm like, you know, Detroit, you know,
right.
like I was like timid, and I would say in all of the music, that was my one regret, because to go and see them in that small thing and support a Gish before Siamese Dream came out, because that's actually when I hit them, right? So the first time I saw him was like 3 months after that came out at the State Fairgrounds, and I was hooked right from there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I loved Gish, and then that came out. I was like, holy shit. So they're my number one. And then no particular order, but it's Ben Harper, Wilco, Lou Reed, and then Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young.
Okay.
And then Justin came up with, his, first ones out. Beastie Boys were in there. Jane's Addiction, probably, get deeper, take your pick. Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam.
Right.
Pearl Jam for me was super important because I liked them more than a lot of the other ones when they first came out. Seeing them and stuff. And you know what? They're still around.
Right.
And they're still doing it. Eddie Vedder does solo stuff that's still good. I love Alice in Chains, love Soundgarden. But for some reason, Pearl Jam hit me, so circling all the way back to Lollapalooza.
Right.
92.
So, Eric, did you like, let's say Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Nirvana, did you like that scene?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah. But you were probably maybe more into, Alice in Chains and Soundgarden versus maybe the Pearl Jam.
Well, I always loved Soundgarden because
it was heavier.
Chris Cornell's
It's a voice, yeah.
Well, I don't even have to say anything about him.
No.
Anybody who's
heard
the song is just like...
Oh, and some of the other stuff that he's done.
Right.
Obviously he went to Audio Slave, and then, just some of the covers you hear him do.
Dude,
it's amazing.
Audio Slave days are great.
So did you by chance go to the show in Detroit?
I did.
You did? So you saw the last performance?
Yep.
How was it?
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean,
Everything seemed on point.
It's not Slipknot, obviously, but for what it was fantastic. I mean, because it was something I grew up listening to a lot of. And
some of those, it's funny because it almost takes you back to being 18, 19, 20 years old again, for at least for a couple hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where it's a good band.
Yep.
Like they actually transport you back to that.
Especially if there's a certain song in whoever's catalog that as soon as you hear it, it immediately transports you back to a time or to a memory, or good, bad, or indifferent.
Absolutely. Yeah, it could be bad, but it doesn't mean you don't like that song and you connect with it,
Yeah.
And and hopefully at that point in time, you end up having a better memory because of it. Moving forward.
In my opinion, grunge music came around at the perfect time too, because you were at the tail end of like when Metallica was relevant. In my opinion, I've never been a fan of Metallica.
Never. Right. You know what? I'm not.
They were great, like when they did "Injustice for All." But anything after the Black Album is all commercialized nonsense to me.
Of course.
They sold out. They cut their hair and they did Load and Reload. I'm like, oh my god, this is embarrassing.
The thing with the symphony.
But there was really nothing in that void of the hard rock genre after that, and then grunge came around, the whole Seattle scene, and everybody's like, wow, this shit's really cool. What is this? And then there was just that lull for about 8-9 years, and then the new metal came out, and it was just so much more powerful because, the grunge metal was what I consider softer rock. Like, they didn't get into, there was no double bass on the drums, there was no real guitar solos, and that kind of stuff
It was a mix between like punk and rock, and then some of them you could say delved into more heavier. Like, you wouldn't call it heavy metal.
No.
People might say Alice in Chains was more heavy metal, but I mean, I would argue that
people who don't listen to metal, that's exactly what they think metal is, and it's
not. True. Yeah, that's a good point.
Right.
That's a good point. Absolutely. So I'm going to finish the Palooza thing. So it was Lush. Well, the minivan. I went to Lou Reed with my brother and Dio and another dude. And on the way home, I mean, me and Paul driving to Detroit from Livonia was going to be a comedy of errors anyway, especially without the Googler getting us there.
Right.
Somehow we get down there and back,
Comedy of errors.
And we're in our sub, and someone had removed the construction cone from where they had the concrete completely tore out, and we blew out 2 tires on my parents' minivan.
But they were happy.
Oh yeah, they get the call. Luckily, it literally happened like 4 doors down from a dude that my dad bowled with.
Okay.
So he like softened the blow. He's like, it wasn't their fault. Basically, they got effed. And then we went to Beastie Boys, Kalamazoo.
Okay.
And actually, me and Mike Geiger picked up my brother and his buddies at Easter and drove to Kalamazoo, and it was the Lynch Mob, and then Rollins Band, and then Beastie Boys at Wings Stadium. Awesome. Finally, Lollapalooza, we take that minivan. 92, I mean, literally, you couldn't have a better show for people our age.
Right.
Lush, Pearl Jam, Jesus and Mary Chain, Soundgarden, Ministry, Ice Cube, and then Red Hot Chili Peppers, which I'm not a huge fan of, but they were huge.
Right.
And we decided we're going to, and I brought it up because you said the cherries. We're going to get a watermelon, break it open, you pour the whole bottle of vodka in it, and then you're going to eat it, and right? No one liked it except for me. So I'm just scarfing it all down, not realizing that I just pretty much had a fifth of vodka.
Right.
So I get in there, and I'm passed out on the fucking hill. And at some point, someone was throwing kernels of corn at me. And my brother was watching over me, and he said, it was just corn. If they threw other shit, I was going to have to say something, but it was your own fault.
Right.
But I So I was in and out. I mean, I vaguely remember hearing parts of Pearl Jam. I remember hearing more of Jesus and Mary Chain. Soundgarden actually kind of was coming too. But I woke up for Ministry.
Nice.
And, like, I would never... Ministry wasn't on my radar.
Right.
You know, but, I mean, they were, like, third from the top at Lollapalooza in 92. Right. So I'm like, oh, my God, that was such... It was awesome. Like, Pine Knob. So seats, walkway, lawn, that entire walkway for, you know, an hour or whatever they were playing was just consumed with people just moshing. And I'm like, wow, this is sweet. And then Ice Cube, oh my God, that was awesome. And then Chili Peppers, and that was when they did on their tour where they had the fire coming out of their fire hats or whatever. So, but yeah, I saw Ministry a few weeks ago now. Yeah, at Royal Oak. That's the first time since '92, and it was still cool.
Right.
I mean, Uncle Al still fucking puts it on. He's 65 years old.
I know.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, and Perry Farrell just turned 65.
Wow.
Yeah, but we're also 50, bro.
I know.
Yeah.
But we're still here. Hey.
I don't understand.
Loving it.
I really don't understand how those guys can do that shit at their age, night after night. Just standing on stage for 3 hours singing, and then, you know, you got the guys in Slipknot who are all in their 50s now, and they're still doing it. And
right.
It's like,
and then you're traveling. I mean, it's not.
Right.
I mean, people that travel for work, I mean, that's their, like, this is their job. So,
Right.
I mean, it ain't necessarily all fun and games, especially when you're 50.
right?
I've heard something back a couple of years ago that between 45 and 65 is the best year of your life. So let's go.
We're barely
For
there.
men,
Then.
right?
We're barely there, then, bros.
Yep.
Right?
Come on, 45 to 65 is the best year of your life. Let's go.
So,
Once you hit 66, you fucking suck.
Well, I look at it this way. Life is what you make of it.
100%.
If you want to be a broken down, pissed off old geezer yelling
Sit
at the
home
kids,
doing
get off
nothing?
the fucking lawn,
Preach.
you're going to be that way.
Preach.
But if you
I
think
love it.
positive, you're going to stay young forever.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And you know what? Find that thing that makes you happy.
Yep.
100%. So, we moved out here about 8 years ago, but up until then, we probably lived super close to each other. Because you said you lived by the Token.
I
Or
do
near-
now.
near there, yeah.
Now, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we were right down the road from there. And me and Neil were just there. But the one thing, I couldn't believe you missed the Corey Feldman show at Token. Because I remember you saying you were
Right.
such a huge fan of
Right.
his.
Yeah, I procrastinated, waited till last minute. There was no more tickets left. Kind of missed the boat.
So,
That would probably be the best way to get a ticket for Corey Feldman is to procrastinate.
Right.
And then you should get one.
right, you might get one for free at that point.
I just, that's one person
No.
I don't really see as a sellout.
Yeah, no. Actually, I love Corey Feldman, but you know, from the old nostalgia of the movies.
Right.
One of my favorite movies he was in was The Burbs, where it was more of like the offshoot character, where he's the neighbor kid
With Tom Hanks.
and Tom Hanks.
Yeah, great movie.
Oh, I love that one. And you know, Tom Hanks, where I don't want to say Tom Hanks is great. I mean, he's done great for himself from where he started, but people forget the Bachelor Party, the Burbs Tom
Right.
Hanks, the Bosom Buddies Tom. You know, like that dude like was grinding and making some movies that actually were super fucking funny.
Right?
You know, but then he becomes, you know, Philadelphia is really what changed it for him. You know, I
Bosom
think.
buddies.
Fuck yeah, him and what was it, Mark Singer? No, Peter Scolari.
Yeah.
It's Peter Scolari.
Fucking guy.
Mark Singer was the Beastmaster,
Right?
and from the original V series. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
And they did a reboot of that. It was actually pretty good. Unfortunately, it got canceled early. So, yeah, back to Feldman. He was playing live, but no, that cracked me up because that's actually kind of how we reconnected.
Right?
Because I was on Facebook. I just joined in August. I'm like, just last September, I'm like, hey, is anyone going to the Corey Feldman show at the Token? Because that's like
Right.
our old hood.
Right?
And you're like, oh, that's right by my house. So I'm like, oh, this Johnny loves Feldman.
I'm like, who the hell fucking responded? It was fucking this guy.
So then I started giving him shit like he's some huge Corey Feldman fan. But in the background, probably at that same time, I told my family, I'm like, I want to get the Corey Feldman Funko Pop, you know, because it's limited edition. And plus, like I said, the nostalgia of the movies, I mean, you can go over his whole resume. But so the funniest thing ever is that so my wife ordered me one and so did my kids. So now I have 2 Corey Feldman Funko Pops. Yeah. So I guess I'm the fanboy now. But no, we talked before the
I spent the last 10 days online trying to find a Corey Feldman shirt to actually wear just to be funny, but I couldn't find anything in my size. I went into one of those, it's a store like Hot Topic, but it's a different name.
Right.
And I said, do you happen to have a Corey Feldman t-shirt? And she's like, yes. I said, do you have it in 4X? She goes, well, I have a small. I'm like, what fucking planet are you from?
A small? Who's gonna wear that?
Right.
A fucking kid.
Right.
That would have been even funnier.
Anybody who's wearing a small probably doesn't know who fucking Corey Feldman is in the first place.
Brilliant. So Corey Feldman. You're not gonna know that.
So the Lost Boys, right? Cry Little Sister. Mm-hmm. Corey Feldman covers that when he does his live shows.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty. It
is
tough to watch.
I'm not saying you don't know, but
that is a sweet song though.
Yeah,
from that movie, and but he played Riot Fest in Chicago.
Yeah,
and from what I saw, little feedback online was like he was like the second best thing that happened on that one day. Was like Corey Feldman. Like people were all over watching him, and like he put on a great show.
I mean,
but you know what?
He's been in some of the most classic movies from our childhood.
So everyone's going to check it out. Oh, Goonies,
Gremlins,
Stand By Me.
Don't forget Gremlins.
Don't forget Friday the 13th.
Right?
He's the one that killed that bastard.
I never got into like some of those goofy 80 movies with the other Corey, like License to Drive and that.
Yeah,
Corey Haim.
Yeah.
So you know what? I watched License to Drive not that long ago. There's some funny parts.
Right.
The one Dream a Little Dream.
Terrible.
That one I wasn't. That was like where he was trying to do the music thing,
right?
Whatever. In like one of the later ones, Lost Boys, and that's not a Corey and Corey movie. They're just both in it.
Right.
That movie was good.
That was a very good movie.
The Frog Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So we were talking earlier. You know, big venue, small venue, blah blah blah. You know, what's your take on that?
Each has its own charm.
Yep.
I mean, I really prefer the smaller venues because it's a more intimate setting, and you know the band or artist can actually talk to people while they're between songs
right there.
and stuff. You're right there.
Yeah.
Even if you're a little far, I mean, you're literally like still right there. You can see
the face. But then again, there's nothing greater than going to like a Slipknot festival and there'd be 300,000 people in the crowd just watching Slipknot. And you look around, you just see heads for miles.
Right.
It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
God damn.
And so I'm going to Lollapalooza for the first time since it's been in Chicago. Last time, 95, when I was still touring in Pine Knob. And so I haven't been to a big festival like that since, like, literally Pine Knob, either Horde Fest or Lollapalooza, one quick day, 4, 5, 7 bands, whatever. But you went to one of the biggest festivals ever, Woodstock in '99, right?
Woodstock, yep.
So were you there the entire time?
Yep.
Okay, so '99, that puts us 24-ish or so. Okay.
Yeah.
So you were there the whole time. What was your take on this whole event?
The music was fantastic. Everything else was literally a shit show, no pun intended. But, I mean, chicks were getting raped. Yeah. People were ODing. People were just walking around, projectile vomiting everywhere. I mean, it was like...
Facilities just not existent, basically.
Yeah. You go into a fucking Porter John, some drunk asshole might tip you over and you get covered with blue fucking shit. And it's just like... Me and my buddy went, and we stayed in the hotel, and we went back and forth every day.
Smart.
I'm like, I ain't staying. Fuck this.
So that's the reason I'm doing Lollapalooza. I can literally Uber from the hotel to Grant Park every day. So, and, we got a nice room where it's got the living room and the room, so in case I'm snoring from maybe having a few drinks too many, but no. So that's, all right, you were one of the smart ones back then. Because, we've had a couple...
You actually got a hotel.
John and Aaron, who've both been on the show, they went together. They literally just, graduated high school and then went that summer to Woodstock, which was like, holy shit, you were 18, a car full of kids. They camped, so they left right as it was really getting crazy when people are lighting shit on fire.
Well, yeah.
So were you there for all of that or no?
We were, but we left shortly after. I was like, I'm looking around, there's fires, it's all muddy, people are covered in mud and shit, and it just, call it a sixth sense or something. I just felt like I needed to get the hell out of there.
And that's how
enough was enough.
That was the same with them. They said it kind of had started it changed.
Yep. It went from a fun festival to like a Lord of the Flies type scenario.
That's
wow. That's weird. Not weird, but that's rad.
And people were sectioning off into different groups, and then one group would be like, hey, they got our water, let's go fucking kill them. And then 60 people are fist fighting over fucking 3 bottles of water.
Right, why wouldn't they? Yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh, my Lord.
That's nuts.
At a music festival.
Right.
So, have you watched the documentary on Netflix? And, you lived it, and I remember I watched it.
It was hard to watch.
I bet.
I wasn't scared for myself because I'm a big dude and I can fight and all that horse shit, but there were so many women and guys there that probably couldn't fight, and they just were getting steamrolled, and people were getting robbed, and I'm just like, this is not safe. We got to leave.
Yeah
but the first 2 days of the festival were great.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and that's... and lucky for the people that put it on, the social media wasn't around, right? 'Cause they were, from what I gathered, they're portraying...
There was enough lawsuits over that with no video. You imagine if they had video? Holy shit.
Yeah, and then
but I've been to, like I said, I've been to tons of metal shows. I've never been scared in my life. I've been to Pantera, I've been to Slipknot, Slayer even. Some of the even heavier stuff like Angel of Death and Morbid Angel and White Church. Never had an issue. A girlfriend of mine in the 90s took me to a Lilith Fair concert. I have never been scared for my personal safety in my life. I didn't realize it was like a feminist lesbo fest. Sarah McLachlan, Alicia Keys, Alanis Morissette.
Why did you feel so...
I just acted like I was gay and people left me alone.
There you go.
So, but that exposed you to newer stuff.
Right. Right. It was good music.
It was good music.
Just in case any of the women that threaten me are listening to this right now.
No, but you know what? But that was the thing. You showed up.
Hey, that's kind of what I think about country music.
Right. I went to a country show the other day.
I'm not a big
really
country fan. If you are, whatever.
But no, back to that though. You went to the show, and you appreciated it. You kept to yourself. You may think whatever you want to think, but you know what? You didn't cause no problems to nobody.
Nope.
And that's always my favorite.
Women are the most
Ben
evil
Harper song.
creatures.
Burn One Down by Ben Harper.
Yep.
If I ain't causing no problem, then you're all right with me. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's as... we're not going to dig too deep into that one.
Right. Well, just to touch on that real quick.
Yeah.
When I worked armed security, I did a lot of the Comic Cons, and I got to meet a lot of famous people.
Oh, really?
And I would work the Harley shows, no issues. Snowmobile, hunting shows, no issues, ever. You know what 2 shows I had the most problems with?
Probably the wedding.
The International Women's Show and the flower and wedding shows that they would... I was working security in a parking lot. One lady had 2 ball-peen hammers in her hand, and the other lady had a cinder block over her head, and they were going to go at it. And I called my boss on the radio, and he's like, go ahead, break it up. I'm like, you break it up.
I'm not sure how do you have those tools in your car readily available? Yeah. I guess you know to take what you need to take if you're going to look for wedding dresses.
Right.
But I've heard that shit's nuts. I don't whatever, but
Right.
I've seen it on TV. They open up the door because shit's on sale and like people running like crazy. Like maybe parents used to back in the day for Cabbage Patch
Right,
Kids.
or something. But these women will literally fist fight each other over stuff, and it's like, oh my god.
Yeah,
They're
I
weird.
have actually. I'm not gonna lie. I have seen some white elephant Christmas exchanges go south with some of our aunts. You know, because someone wants something, they might get a little. You know, because they they really want those candles.
Speaking of a quick story about the last white elephant party I went to, and I've been banned from them with my friends group.
I've been banned.
So they're like, it's a white elephant party. I'm like, well, what the fuck's a white elephant party? I don't even know what this is.
Don't
And they
even
said
know
you
either.
just buy a random gift, and somebody at the party ends up getting it. I said,
Right.
oh, that sounds like fun. So I bought the gift, and I wrapped it, and I took it to the party. Everybody's having a good time, and I'm watching my gift to see who gets it. There happens to be an ordained minister at this party, and he gets my gift, and I'm like, I gotta go. I can't even sit here and watch this because I'm already going to hell for what I bought. I bought a book off Amazon called Pictures You Should Not Masturbate To, and I bought a little vial of KY jelly and put it in the present. And that's what this but it was nothing like pornographic. It was just like pictures of like cows out in a field and like buildings and shit. Just the
Yeah, it has
title.
like a crazy title, but it's nothing
Great
crazy.
gift.
That's hilarious.
Except not to.
Apparently, I was the only one at that party that found that absolutely hilarious.
So I would have found that funny as hell. So we were actually the last white elephant one together, and me being the the procrastinator, all the way back in school, all the way through college, last minute.
It's the
I
best
don't know
way
how
to
to guess,
go.
so what do I do? I'm like, you know what? I just got some brand new Two Dudes t-shirts. I'm going to wrap one up.
Right, there you go.
So we're all putting them out there, and we go to my brother's house, and you never know who kind of shows up,
Right.
sometimes. So it would be basically, my brother's uncle, on his wife's side.
Mm-hmm.
Which, we're getting up there, so, we're talking people in their, 70s, pushing 80s now,
Right,
like
right,
a lot
right.
of our parents and that. Same thing. I'm watching all the gifts go, and I'm hoping, someone gets it. My
Right,
brother
right.
or even my mom or dad. And finally, it literally comes down to one gift left. This guy goes to open it, and he opens it up, and he's no idea what it is. People
Right.
are trying to explain it to him, and thank God it was Uncle John. He's like, you steal him or whatever. He's
Right,
like,
right.
I'll take that, and then whatever. And then he was actually the one that gave us the Seagrams,
Okay.
which we've done a pretty good dent, Neil. We're about halfway down.
Seagram's is nice.
Yeah, it actually Seagrams in 7, right? Usually we just take a quick pull though, right? So Uncle John, thanks again. Although you are behind blackened now. You know what? I might be a whiskey guy now.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Not quite as smooth as
No,
that, but it's
no,
got a
that's
very,
smooth.
very
That's good.
similar taste.
But you know what? I remember like years ago, I would take like a pull off of this. I'd be like, ugh.
No, that's
But you
good.
know what? So
Thanks,
actually,
John.
yeah, thanks, John.
And this is actually going to be my next hobby. I just bought a still, and I'm going to start making my own moonshine.
No shit.
Yep. Because
No shit.
in Michigan, it's legal. You can make up to 15 gallons. You just can't sell it.
No shit.
Yep.
Really? That's awesome.
Oh, you can't sell, so you just would be all for you
Well, yeah,
or
give
your
it
friends
away.
and family. Yeah.
Give it away.
Well, you do
Barter.
it like you did in the marijuana industry when it turned medical. They said you
Wink,
can
wink.
grow, but you have to gift it to people. So the way I got around that was I would give them the bag of weed, and then I had one of those popcorn machines. I'd make up a bag of popcorn and charge them $100 for the popcorn, and then they got the
Got
weed.
around it.
Right,
There's always a way, right?
right, always.
So, yeah, that's something that obviously you've been involved in, right?
Mhm.
Really, but
Yeah.
from the ground up,
Yeah, pretty much.
in that industry, and you were, I believe, in a podcast.
Yeah.
In Vegas?
Yeah, in Vegas.
So what was that all about?
My buddy, he's a fellow grower. He's actually the guy that gave me my Master Grow title, which I'm very proud of.
You should be proud of that.
And
Yeah, I love
he was setting up a podcast / just giving information out about marijuana, like how it's like this, but it's all about marijuana. It's like growing tips and keeping what your temperature should be, what kind of hydroponics you should be using.
People, either people starting out or maybe people who have been in it for a while, but maybe want to take it to the next level. How do I do this?
Exactly.
Or, pick the brain. Right?
We covered everything from like.
Did you really?
Growing.
Because I thought I heard you say it's a little blurry.
Well, yeah, I know what the format was. I couldn't tell you what I said. But it covered everything from like weed growing for dummies all the way up to the top guys who want to squeeze.
And he's obviously like a top.
Oh, yeah.
If he gave you that title, that means he's got to be.
Yeah, he's.
So, I'm completely novice to this, right? So, something like that, would he be, completely recognized across the country for this? For what he does? Or, his level where he's at then? Or
Yeah, he's right up there with Cheech and Chong as far as I'm concerned. He's top. He's created probably 74 different strains of weed. And
so what does that mean, when you talk about something like that? As far as, the business aspect. So he creates that, so then he then distributes that to a wider, to just spread it out farther, and then he's almost as a patent or whatever on this.
Yeah. And they're getting away with a lot of the stuff because of the 2018 Farm Bill, which included hemp. But there's no difference between the hemp plant and the marijuana plant. So if you're shipping marijuana, just say it's hemp.
Gotcha.
That's how you get around it.
And then if I remember reading, even though a lot of states have legalized and everything, but it's still against federal law.
Correct.
So it's all cash.
Yep.
Right.
It's all cash.
A lot of banks are steering clear of it, although it probably.
Well, the banks are finally starting to.
Are they?
Take the money. They didn't before because it couldn't be federal insured, and if something happened to your money in the bank, you just get screwed. But nobody wants to sit at home with a safe in their house with $100,000 in cash in it either.
Right. Exactly. So it's good to see that So what was that like? You went out to Vegas. Where'd you stay? How long were you there? What was,
I stayed with my buddy and his dad at their house, and
okay, cool.
We went to a couple of casinos, and we did the Vegas. I've been to Vegas a bunch of times, so
I know. I just
kind of lost my luster for it. It's like you go 5 times and you've already seen everything there is.
Yeah.
It's still a shit show in Vegas. You never know what's going to happen.
100%. Well, me and Emily took our 2 youngest to Vegas literally we were in Vegas, and I took my computer with me to do the final edit on episode 1 that me and Neil did for season 1. And, but we hadn't been there in 20 years.
Right.
15, 20 years or whatever. So completely different. And then seeing the kids on Fremont Street.
Right.
Oh my God. That is a complete shit show compared to what I remember that 15 years ago.
Right.
And we took a cab to the Venetian. Or Uber. It was an Uber. And our driver was like, you want to hit Fremont Street the first Friday of every month. Because that's where all the locals just converge on Fremont.
Right.
And it's just she goes, it's just a party. I'm like, oh my God. And then we went to Fremont Street, not on the first Friday. I'm like, holy shit, I couldn't imagine what that first Friday was like, you know what I mean, with all the local people. It's totally different. We had a blast. But we kind of stayed off the strip at the little Holiday Inn thing.
Right.
Which actually was nice.
Yeah.
Because you're away from kind of, and you're a little quarter mile
could
walk
be
to the...
so nice holiday.
All right, so I'm actually not going to take a drink. I want to eat one of these effing things.
Okay.
Is that maybe worse than what I should?
No.
So I'm going to get a cherry. Neil, what are you going to do? Take a drink or a cherry?
Cherry.
Here, have one. Go first. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, those cherries have only been probably soaking in moonshine for about a year now.
Yeah, it's
Right,
getting
are you having
so
one or not?
fucked
I'm
up.
gonna take a drink.
All right. So,
I'm gonna
Well,
get
you know
wasted after this.
yeah, totally wasted, bro. Here we go. Hey, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, bro. I'm wasted.
That's dangerous
Yeah, that's really dangerous.
because it doesn't even taste like alcohol.
Ooh. Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Man. So you got any shows coming up?
Just corn's on my radar,
So,
but that's.
I know I posted about corn.
I think that's August or September.
Okay, that's what I was going to see is what, I don't know exactly what date. But I might hit that one. Is it Pine Knob?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. And then
Because I've never seen corn.
another
So
guy.
so corn at Woodstock, that was like night one, right?
Yeah,
And like, so according to the documentary, so Bush came out and actually did well.
very well.
And the part that kills me is Bush is still out there doing it.
Right.
You know, and I know they've changed lineups and shit, but like Incarceration last year, Bush was there.
Really.
All these different festivals, Bush are like they're popping up. They're still around doing it. But then Korn played, and like the place erupted.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Where were you, like, in relation to the stage between when they were on?
I was walking around when they were playing,
Yeah.
just because I
That's
couldn't sit through corn.
Really?
It's too high energy. You got to get up and move.
Right. And you were right in the thick of things.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you were were you in the mosh?
I was
before,
just. There's generally the way corn does it. It's really weird at their concert. Is they'll have a ring, and then the mosh pit's here, and then they'll have a second ring on the outside that you kind of are watching the guys in the pit, and you can see the band.
Okay, so you're like in that.
It's kind of like the seniors of the mosh world.
Right.
Nobody from the inner ring hits the outer ring.
Gotcha.
It's kind of a respect
And everyone
thing.
just knows where it's at.
Yep.
It's like the unwritten
And
rule.
if they don't, then they're going to get their bell rung by a punch or a knee or something.
And it might not even be the guy they hit. It'll be
Right.
someone else that's got their back.
Yep.
Almost like the team element to it, right?
It's like, all right, youngins, you don't mess with the old people. You get too close, you might
Right.
get cracked because old people are nuts.
That's funny. So yeah, I think I might want to go to that one. Hopefully it works out with the timing because one, never seen Korn,
Right.
you know, and I'm all for opening up, you know, new genres, new stuff. Like I said, Kane Brown 2 nights ago, country. Like I never would have imagined being at a country show ever in my life. It was a fun time, you know. A lot of it's who you go with, and bottom line, you know what? My number one complaint with the whole night. Like, he put on a great show. They had good lights and shit, you know, good. But it was like, you had like the main stage, and then you had 2 parts coming, like walkways, and then a bigger walkway. And he was all over the place. But it was like the band was like, you almost didn't even see him.
Right.
You're like in the back corners of each
right.
one. And I'm like, but the band also kicked ass.
Right.
Like, why aren't they out here? You
Right,
know?
exactly.
And like sometimes they would walk out, but it was like rare.
Right.
You know, and I understand he is the act, but you know, there's a lot of stuff that's going on behind you, and they're providing that like live. And it was funny because my buddy Adam Pickler, he went to Stevenson. We always played soccer with him, and then we went to UD with him and played soccer. And he's always talked up Kane Brown, you know, and he's another one. He listens to everything. Like, he's going to see fucking Air Supply, like, in a few months.
Okay.
And
it's different.
That is the only, I remember in college I told him, do not put Air Supply in that CD player when we were in college. I said, if you put it in there, I'm going to throw it across the room.
Right.
So what did he do? He put it in there, and I threw it across the room. He looked at me like, what the hell did you just do? I said, I told you what I was going to do.
Right.
And he did it. So he respected that. But he's going to see Air Supply, which was super hilarious. I told my wife that, and she's like, I'd love to see Air Supply.
I would too. I would too.
Which, yeah, again, whatever. People like what they like.
Right, exactly.
But no, he always told me Kane Brown was good, and he saw him in Mount Pleasant at the casino.
Oh.
I guess they have like I I don't know if they saw him indoor or outdoor, but they have a nice little setup there.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "What'd you think?" He's like, "It was a good show, but nowhere near as good as the last one."
Right.
I said, "Well, Mount Pleasant to LCA, that's a big jump."
Right.
And he's a superstar now.
Yep.
But I told him about that. I'm like, I didn't like how the band was. He's like, you know what? Last show, like they were front and center. He was,
Right.
even like when he brought out the openers,
Mm-hmm.
like it was a lot more, like it was literally like you saw him go from the small theaters to becoming a superstar. And he's like, yeah, but that was just 6 months ago. I'm like, but remember, we saw Beck. And it would have been like 93 or 94, whatever, when we were in college. Loser had just kind of blew up, but he played at the Detroit Science Center. And it was $5. And like he played amongst all the exhibits, like so you could touch the thing and your hair went up when you were watching Beck.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, but imagine 6 months after that, because Loser had already blown up.
Right.
I mean, you would have said, I saw him here, and then all of a sudden he's playing,
Right.
So why don't you kill me?
Beck was sweet. Yeah. And he still is, he's been relevant for 30 years.
Yeah, he's a good...
Whether you love him or not, and I mean...
He has some good songs.
He has some really good songs across a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
Like, he had a ton of great songs when he was in the 90s, and he's living off those. No, he had some bangers throughout.
He has some
killer tunes,
bangers
right
now.
We call them killer tunes around here.
There you go.
So, besides... What do you think about the Rob Zombie Ministry show? You going to maybe check that out, or...
I would like to.
I got to see when that is, because after seeing Ministry, and I've never seen Rob Zombie, and I know Ministry, if they're opening, they're just banging out.
Oh, right.
Those fucking classics.
Yeah, they're gonna kill it.
And they have a new song called "Goddamn White Trash."
Love it.
Which they'll play that one too.
Love it.
But I tell you what, Al seems like a really cool dude.
Mm-hmm.
I've never met the guy, but like you see, like his interactions with all the fans, and it's been there for decades.
Right.
And
did you see that Henry Rollins is talking about a Black Flag reunion?
No shit.
Yeah.
Because I actually saw him saying he would never play with a band ever again.
Hey, money talks.
Yeah.
Some promoter out there says, I'll give you $500,000 to play one summer. Who's going to turn that down?
Well, we talked about on one of the earlier episodes, like Velvet Underground.
Mm-hmm.
Like they got the original members back in '93, and they did 3 shows in France, and they had like a live album. Like you knew money talked on that.
Right.
And that's funny though, because I saw just recently Rollins was like he would never be on the stage with a band again.
Right.
But I've always loved him. I loved him in the band. I saw him do a spoken words in like Ann Arbor.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that was great too. Yep. He's actually was a pretty relevant actor.
Right.
He's been in some movies and stuff and did a good job.
Yeah, he played a white supremacist on Sons of Anarchy.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Right.
I totally forgot about that.
And he was so hated. And I love the guy. I met him. He bought me coffee. We sat and talked for an hour.
Oh, did you really? You actually met him?
Yeah, at one of the Comic Cons.
Okay. So, in Novi,
Yeah,
there?
in Novi, yeah.
So, dude, I've always loved the idea of Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
And
because it's not just comics, it's everything.
Right.
Right.
And I've never been to one ever before, and then last year in May, I'm like, well, because I started 2 dudes. I'm like, you know what? I'm wearing my 2 dude shirt. I'm walking around there. I'm going to talk to people. That's totally not me anyway.
Right.
I love talking and meeting people, but it's hard for me to like go and just, but you know what? I'm like, fuck it.
Right.
If I want this shit to happen.
Yep.
But so in the 11th hour, right before I'm leaving, my son Avery went with me.
Oh.
And one of the reasons I wanted to go was because DMC was there.
Okay.
But he was there on the comic book side.
Okay.
So he had like a table smaller than this.
Right.
He wasn't one of like the main people that you're going to meet in the celebrity section. Well, my daughter bought me this poster literally 2 weeks before that.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, I knew you would love it. Beasties are on DMC. So I'm like, she had been to Comic-Con before and got Herschel from The Walking
Okay.
Dead and Jesus from The Walking Dead. She got pictures and
Jesus, don't cry.
Man, that was good, bro.
I'm good.
And
Pretty good voice.
so I went. I'm like, I took the poster,
Mm-hmm.
and the first thing I walk in, I see the fucking Swedish Chef from the Muppets. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he was him and Beaker are my
Right.
favorite Muppets. So I told my son, like, you got to get me the picture. We literally take the picture and look, and DMC's walking by, and he was going from like the celebrity section to the comic book section. So I walked with him for like 5 minutes
Nice.
and bullshitting with him, and that's where he ended up. He signed this poster.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and my favorite part is he put JMJ MCA RIP because Jam Master J
Yep.
and MCA, right? Plus you also have DJ Hurricane back there, which
Right.
is super sweet. But nicest guy ever.
Right.
So you met Rollins through that?
Yeah.
Okay. So what was he? Was he just there as a celebrity, or was he
Um,
there with a different kind of function or whatever?
This was roughly right at about a year after The Walking, after that one.
Oh, Sons of
That one.
Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy
Okay.
wrapped up,
Okay.
and he was just kind of doing like a meet and greet.
Right.
And
So what was he like?
he was awesome.
He seemed, I mean, he seemed super intense, but he also seemed
He's
super
awesome.
intelligent and just like fucking grounded. So.
Yep, very grounded, very frugal. Like the dude don't like spending money.
Really?
Yes, he don't. And
You know what? You know what they say? If you got money, you don't like to fucking
Right,
part with it, right, bro?
But you know, you get a idea of celebrities acting a certain way, whether they're on shows or movies. But a lot of them are just real people. Like
Right.
the ones that you think would be nice are the ones that are the assholes, and the ones that are assholes are nice.
They're the
It's
best.
weird that it works that way.
You know, and well, the thing with like Henry Rollins, I mean, just seeing him, whether it's on stage or a lot of his roles and whatever he's doing, you think, oh my god, he's intense. He's gonna be an asshole,
Right.
But like you said, a lot of times that's a total. So
Yep.
you actually just sat and had coffee with him.
Yep. It was
That's
it was
hilarious.
the most surreal thing like ever.
What about any other people you've met too? I mean, I want to hear more about the Rollins experience, but
I would when I met my wife. We got married, and then we moved to Florida, and I went to work at Walt Disney World as a chef.
oh really?
And I worked there for 15 years, and I was just helping out in another area of business, you know, taking sodas out to drink carts and shit in the park. And I met this black dude, and I'm like, he told me who his name is, and I'm like, okay. I don't follow raps. I don't know who the fuck this guy is. He's ludicrous.
No shit.
I went back to my boss, and I'm like, yeah, I just gave away a couple bottles of water. He's like, who? I said, I guess he's a rapper named Ludacris. And everybody's freaking out. I'm like, what I don't know who this guy is.
That's hilarious. So Rollins, how long did you do the thing with Comic-Con then?
Well, I worked security for, at the time, Gallagher Security, and they had Rock Financial building.
Yeah.
We did security there for all the
Okay.
shows and stuff. And I just did Comic-Con there 3 years in a row and just got to meet a lot of
That's
interesting
awesome.
people.
That's awesome. You know what? I had a blast there, and I already told everyone in my family I'm going again. So whoever wants to go can sign up and do it. And
Right.
my son's like, absolutely again.
Right?
But it was fun. You know, I mean, you relive shit. I mean, seeing a fucking 40-foot tall Stay Puft Marshall man
Right.
with a real life Ghostbusters car. You
Right.
know? Who are some of the people there?
Eugene Levy.
No, Christopher Lloyd from Taxi, and obviously Doc from
Right.
they had the
Back to
DeLorean
the
was there,
Future.
and Tony Danza was there, so you had the whole Taxi connection with him. Edward Furlong, remember
Okay.
T2
Yep.
and American History X, he was in that, right?
Yep.
But yeah, it was fun to some of the Walking Dead people were there, but it was super cool. I'd never
Right.
been to one, and like I'm moving forward, I'll probably go to them every time.
Yeah, they're great.
You know, I got my whole Funko thing and
Mhm.
pictures and shit, and I mean, like, well, this thing right here, the American Psycho or whatever, that's all done by like spray paint.
Oh, really?
And someone, whether it's local or someone that travels and does that, someone did that. Know, so it's to me, it's cool. It's not a masterpiece thing. It's someone did their art, and fuck it, it's awesome. I love it. And I put my little Funko guy there.
Speaking of Comic-Con, on the way here, I was listening to the radio, and they were saying the comic book that it was World of Comics back when it was released, but it was the first episode where Superman was introduced to the comic world. Just sold the number one copy, $6 million.
I've always heard that one's like the most.
$6
million. Yep.
Yeah.
When you said that, I was like, $1 million. One. I go $1.
No,
$6 million.
And I like to take that a little farther. Who the fuck's got $6 million to blow on a comic book?
Wouldn't it be great? Right? So, that thing right there, the Apocalypse Now one.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that, to me, is my favorite. It used to be on this wall, but we retooled.
Right.
I like it better how we, with the background. But that is actually the original movie poster when Apocalypse Now released in Poland.
Oh, really?
And it's a cool poster.
And like if you see, like a lot of the little paint splecks are actually helicopters. See, like around his head.
Yeah, I can see that.
And
Don't tell me that.
I bought it off of some dude in Ann Arbor. Like literally, almost. Well, I definitely had it before I was married, so call it 25, 30 years ago. And when internet was barely alive. And, that's where I started collecting all this shit.
Right.
A lot of them, like the Clockwork Orange ones, a lot of those are, like, literally forever old.
Yeah.
I take it you're Stanley
nothing's
Kubrick
worth
fan.
money here.
So, what the funny thing is I had the 2001 Space Odyssey before I ever even saw the movie. I just liked the colors and the way it looked. I loved Clockwork Orange. And it's a very disturbing movie.
Very.
And
one of my favorites.
I know.
Yeah, and one of my favorites too. I like it.
The funniest thing ever
love that
is movie. I've had those Clockwork Orange ones forever. And actually, before I had those, I had a really sweet one, and it was black and white, and it was for Droogs, where the winos laid out like in the tube, like in the tunnel or whatever. And you just see like the outline of those four and that guy laying there. And that was one of the first ones I had, and I lived with my brother. And then when I moved out, I had collected so many other ones, and keep that one. Right. I'm like, holy shit, that was the one. That one, and then there's one from the movie Pi.
Okay.
I don't know, Darren Aronofsky. It was like his first movie.
Pi, yes.
And it's about, I don't know, have you ever seen it?
I've heard of it.
It's only like an hour and 10 minutes long.
I might have seen it, but
and this guy figures out a number sequence
that
unlocks the stock market, but it also unlocks like this like ancient Jewish text or something. So you have like these two factions of people going after this dude, but he's also suffering like this whole mental crisis. So at this point, I don't even know if the fucking movie's real or not. Like, is this guy actually doing something, or is it just all like it's nuts? But Darren Aronofsky ended up doing like Black Swan and winning Oscars and all that shit. There was that one, and then I also had the Forever 27, where it was Jimi Hendrix, Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, kind of all at the bar, and it's almost like cartoony, and they got like the little symbols for, like a ball and chain and shit. And then Kurt Cobain's at the door, like coming in.
Right.
So it was like some of the first ones I started with. So when I moved out, I let him have them. And they're actually still hanging up in that basement.
Yeah, they are.
And then I've just collected them over time. But yeah, the Clockwork Orange. And the funny thing about that is, my daughter had a friend years ago or something that had a boyfriend, and he was like, my favorite movie is Clockwork Orange. And then he watched it with her, and then she immediately broke up with him. She's like, if this is your favorite movie, like, I'm pretty disturbed. So now my kids are like,
Right.
This is what these things that we've had hanging up in our whole childhood. Like, well, yeah, it's a disturbing
That's like
movie.
one of my
It doesn't mean it's not a good movie.
Right, bunch of guys beating the shit out of people with canes, drinking milk, and raping women. I mean, it's
right, the old in and out, in and out. But then, you see, like, okay, trying to correct him. And I mean, Kubrick was a fucking weird dude. You know? But, as weird as he was, Full Metal Jacket was...
Oh, dead on.
I mean, not really a weird dude at all. I mean, that was dead on between two aspects of that whole Vietnam War. That was, to me, probably his most sane movie.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, right?
Makes the most sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, to a degree, that he knew that he was fucked up in the head, Kubrick.
Uh-huh.
And I think he transferred that into Brando's role as a crazy...
Oh.
Like, because that guy was, in the movie, was just totally lost his shit.
No, in Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, Apocalypse
Now. No, that
Now.
was Coppola. Francis Ford Coppola was Apocalypse Now. Yeah.
But I remember, because that's one of my favorite movies, but Brando said in an interview that he took the disturbedness of his character from Kubrick.
Very possible.
Right. Because the guy was just out there.
And he, a lot of his shit during that whole was all ad lib.
Mm-hmm.
That whole like scene where he's pouring the water and Sheen finally confronts him or whatever. Like almost all that was just. And I mean, have you ever seen like the documentary on that movie?
Yeah.
What Hearts of Darkness?
Yep.
Because that's what the movie's based on. Is the old Joseph Conrad book. I mean, seeing that shit and the fact that like Lawrence Fishburne was like literally 14 when he first like got the role, and I think by the time they were done filming, he was like 17 years old.
Right.
I mean, Dennis Hopper. I mean, you had a cocaine budget back on the movie, right?
And what a lot of people don't know, I'm sure you will know, but most people don't realize Harrison Ford was in that movie.
Yes, he was. He's in the very beginning.
He's the captain.
He's the captain.
Yep.
He like brings the paperwork or something when they're letting Sheen know about his thing. That's funny. And his name on his thing for Harrison Ford, I forget what it is, but I'll have to go back and look what it is. I don't know if it like ties back to something else or it actually. I don't know. I'll have to look at it. It might actually, someone's name might be Estevez on the thing because Martin Sheen's real name was Estevez. Right. Because Emilio Estevez is the only one that kept the name.
Right.
And Charlie and Martin Sheen were the ones that changed it. I love this part of the show too. Is that we go back, like, the nostalgia part in movies. Right. Well, Apocalypse Now, the fucking music in it was amazing. Like literally, the opening scene is Martin Sheen going nuts in that hotel room or whatever.
Yeah, smashing
everything, and what's playing? The End by the Doors.
Right.
Which is like perfect. Now,
great soundtrack,
and so. This was something new that I learned. And I did read Hearts of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. And I don't know, does it actually go from like back to front or something like that? Because someone was like, the song was perfect because that part is actually the end of the movie. Like after he did all that shit, and that was when he came back, and it was the end. And then he like lost it because he just, what he just went through.
Right.
I'm like, well, okay, now that fucking makes total sense. I don't know if that's true or not, but maybe some of our tens of hundreds of followers will let us know out there.
Neil says never heard of it.
Next.
Coppola or Kubrick.
Sorry.
When they make their movies, there's always a tie-in somewhere to something else that's really crazy. Like,
and I mean,
my favorite part in that movie was when the guys are going into the fucking jungle to look for papayas or something, and they get chased by the tiger. And that one dude just loses his shit. Like,
of course, yes.
So
the bullets and the bombs and shit going off don't bother him, but the fact he got chased by a tiger is what really upsets him.
So actually, the very last episode of season 1, I had my old man on. He was a Vietnam vet.
Okay.
Because he's always told my youngest, he's like, there's 2 movies I want you to watch about Vietnam. to understand at least partially of what happened. He said platoon's about the closest thing you'll find.
Yep.
And we were soldiers, because a lot of that was the time. Like, he was over there in the Ashaw Valley and just the shit, you know.
Right.
We were soldiers. Yeah.
Yeah, with Mel Gibson.
Right.
And
Mel Gibson.
yeah, just hearing some of his stories about that, and and his biggest thing, because I brought it up to him, like Crosby, Stills and Nash, Bob Dylan. I mean, they all sang against the war. He's like, yeah, they all sang against the war, but they weren't saying against me. That's the way he always looked at it, And we took him to Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young when we went and saw him live. Holy shit, that was one of the best experiences ever.
Right.
Going with the old man, seeing that.
That was a good show, by the way.
That was an interesting night, watching those movies and the kids. And, like, the next day, I'm like, so what'd you guys think? Do you have a little different perspective of Grandpa? Like, holy shit!
Right.
Jesus Christ! I'm like, and he signed up for that when he was 17. He actually didn't get drafted. He signed up. He
wanted to go.
Well, he needed to get his shit together, and he looked at that as a way, and, that's what people would do back then or whatever. But the one thing he always said is just the way they were treated coming back.
Right, getting spit on and...
Yeah, and all that shit. And, and he still deals with that stuff. But you know what? It was awesome having him on for that, because I'm an old man with tech. Imagine what that dude's like, right? So he got to experience, how it all works, so...
And now I think is an appropriate time to thank all the people who served.
Absolutely, 100%
for their service.
100%.
I never served.
Never have.
Didn't want to. Not my thing. And it
Thank God
doesn't mean I
do.
Doesn't mean I don't love my country or anything like that. It just means I truly feel like somebody who serves, they're cut from a different cloth.
100%.
Yeah,
I agree. 100%. And of course, you appreciate them 100% because of what they give up to be, for whatever reason. It's what they believe in.
They make the ultimate sacrifice for us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so many people have.
It is. That's what it is. They're sacrificing their lives for us.
Right.
No, and you know what? And when you tie it all back, one thing that always probably keeps them going is some fucking kick-ass music, too.
Right.
Imagine sitting around when you finally have some time.
Right.
And that's always one way.
I'm sure boobs are right up there on the list, too, though.
Yeah, probably. But no, you know what the funny thing was when we had my dad on, I forgot to even bring up Apocalypse Now.
Oh, really?
And because we talked platoon and we were soldiers and even like some of the other stuff or whatever. But he was like, yeah, you always heard like rumors there's some crazy guy out there, and that's probably. It was probably more a rumor than anything, but they probably actually took it from what people heard and made a story around it and around Hearts of Darkness, which was even cooler, Absolutely classic movie. And if you're going to watch it, just watch the Redux one. It's like 3.5 hours long, and they bring in the whole like French part of it with China, remember?
Okay, yeah.
Because that's really how it started, right? You had the French colonizing it, and then Vietnam wanted to go communism, and we were like, no, and then so we got involved, and the French were like, oh, we're out of here.
Right.
And next thing you know, like 10 years later, you're in a fucking war forever.
Right. The French have never really been known to have a strong fighting force.
No, they get in and get out.
Right.
So, are you going to go to Korn?
I'm going to do my best.
We got to stay in touch, because if we do, I want to go there, and I think, Neil, you should go with us, bro.
Pine Knob?
Yeah. Pine Knob, Korn.
Another buddy of ours, Rich Flenner, remember him?
Yeah, I know Rich.
He said he would
I did, I saw that. Yeah, absolutely. That's the beauty of it, too, is, as we do this, people are going to shows, and that's why I started that Live Tunes group. Because, hey, we're going to Detroit, but I also know there's other people, so hey, here's the other cities, but for all of us in Detroit, we're going to the show. Who else is going? Meet up, have a beer, or say hi, whatever, Because, shit, we haven't seen each other in fucking 30 years, bro. Right. And here you are. Did you ever think you'd be in my fucking studio?
No, I didn't.
Neither did I. We really don't. It's kind of a basement that we use, but no. Seriously, like, I couldn't thank you more for one, being here, but also two, I know that me and Neil definitely believe in the mission, and I think that you do kind of as well. And I want to grow the community further. I appreciate you being here. It's been awesome to connect.
Yeah.
I want to, like I said, hit that show. Everyone else, check us out on our YouTube channel, Two Dudes and Killer Tunes, Instagram, Facebook, all that other shit. And we will see you the next time. Peace.
Peace.
See?